What's going on, everybody? C4 here. Welcome back to the channel. This is going to be a long-ish video because I'm going to be reacting live to every Philadelphia Eagles pick here on day 3, and I'm just going to put it all in one video. Last night we had, obviously a little bit of fun with the Milton Williams selection, Milton Williams, and they got Landon Dickerson. I mean, my Landon Dickerson video, I did talk about it. Like, yeah, absolutely, with his versatility. Very high ceiling, scouts seen him ran Ravens, just very terrifying knowing the medical with Landon Dickerson, knowing how bad the Philadelphia Eagles medical staff is. You know, like, normal medical staffs are on the cutting edge of physiotherapy, of injury prevention, and I firmly believe that the Philadelphia Eagles coaching staff, like, despises stretching. They replaced all water with, like, Dr. Pepper for hydration. Like, we have the worst medical staff in the NFL, and we just got someone in Landon Dickerson who, yeah, short term, hey, if he's ready to go, could be an upgrade at left guard. But long term, could be the successor to Jason Kelsey. And it's not necessarily like that. It's like someone asked me, like, they got Creed Humphrey, would you still be upset? Maybe a little bit, because I still feel like given that board at that time with JOK still on the board, that's kind of what, it is more so the players that were still there that I wanted versus me dogging all over the Landon Dickerson selection. And then Milton Williams, hey, Philly needed a D-tackle 3 S-tier athlete at that position. Again, it's almost like, come on, man. We should have went corner there, but Milton Williams, now the dust has kind of settled. It's a good pick. I think riding that high of Devontae Smith in the first round was amazing. Devontae Smith was awesome. Day 2, Landon Dickerson, Milton Williams. That's like a B-, C+ type, like, future-proofing, not immediately going to help the Eagles in 2021. Pick is in here first and foremost. 4th round, 123, our only 4th round pick until maybe something happened with Zach Ertz. Like, why is Zach Ertz still on the Philadelphia Eagles right now? I'm very concerned. Because, like, is this, like, the kind of value now that we're going to get for Ertz? It's like 4th round, 5th round, somewhere in that range. 123, I mean, Jabril Cox just went to the Dallas Cowboys. Very upset about that. This could be a corner. Zach McPherson. That's not a bad selection. Zach McPherson, Texas Tech. I did have him as one of my fits for Philadelphia. Transfer from Penn State, I believe. But when you look at McPherson, I think you're going to get a player that, production for sure. A little bit undersized. I don't really know where he's going to fit in our scheme. He's 5'10", 200 pounds, though. He might be a slot, maybe not. Last year, 2020 with Penn State. 50 tackles, 10 PBUs, 4 interceptions, which is pretty good. And I do think that, we didn't get any pro day results. You don't know how truly fast he is. He's probably not an S-tier athlete by any means, or else he probably would have tested. But this is a solid pick, man. I think he's going to be a good fit for our zone defense. And I don't want to say that 4th is a little too high. Like, this is right around where, Dane Brugler and a lot of those other top mocks, top draft reports had him going around the 4th round. Would like to know maybe more about the straight line speed, because if he has that good straight line speed, maybe he going on that outside, because right now when you look at the Philadelphia Eagles, we need to find that guy that can play on the other side of Darius Slay. Is Zach McPherson going to be that guy? Probably not. He's probably going to be a slot, but then it's almost like, are they going to trust him on the outside and keep someone like Avonte Maddox in the slot? Are they going to view Avonte Maddox now as slot corner number 2? Or are they going to move Avonte Maddox into safety? McPherson also maybe could be a safety, depending on how they view him. But ultimately, it's a solid pick. I feel better about this selection where they got him than I do Landon Dickerson where they got him, than I do Milton Williams where they got him. But yeah, this is not a bad start, even though I'm still very much trying to cope with the fact that the Dallas Cowboys got Jabril Cox, and we didn't. All right, so Philly's pick in the 5th round, first pick in the 5th round. I'm 2 behind. We have Atlanta and Cincinnati. I'm liking Kenneth Gainwell. I'm liking maybe the lottery pick, potentially. Dylan Moses, McGrone, the linebacker from Michigan. Those would be probably my top 3 guys available right now for Philadelphia. Hopefully, in about a minute's time, I'm going to be happy. And we're going to follow up a good Zach McPherson pick with a great 5th round selection. All right, the Eagles pick is coming through. Come on. Kind of leaning McGrone, but we've a lot of Alabama players. Dylan Moses would be dope. Kenny Gainwell! Yes! We actually got someone I wanted! Kenny Gainwell! This guy is a very good route runner. There is our Nyheim Hines for the Philadelphia Eagles offense. Much as we all like, as Eagle fan base, Miles Sanders. And Miles Sanders might arguably be the best skill position player that we have. Like, a most explosive skill position player. Well, I mean, now that Devontae Smith's there. But Miles Sanders, you can think, too, with his skill set, and as a rookie, kind of showed that he's a solid receiver. But last year, he was, like, arguably and almost statistically one of the worst receiving backs in the NFL. And Boston Scott, well, I absolutely love Boston Scott. I want him to get his touches. He's also not really a receiving back. You don't really have that route running there. Gainwell, very, very low tread on the tires. Only played 1 year at Memphis. And his route running is really, really, really good. So let's see. Let's get the full number here. He was the 4th running back in Dane Brugler's The Athletic. 2nd, 3rd round grade. So 2nd or 3rd round. 4.44. Not an S tier athlete, but a good athlete. 1 year starting as a redshirt freshman at Memphis in 2019. He had 1,400 rushing yards, 13 rushing touchdowns, going with 51 catches, 600 receiving yards, and 3 receiving touchdowns. So while he's not going to be a guy that if he got drafted by a team like, I know the Jets were kind of thinking about it, he's not going to be your 3-down back. But for what Philadelphia needs in their running back room, this is, after Devontae Smith, easily the best selection the Philadelphia Eagles have made. And as much as I was underwhelmed, more so with the positions Philly went in the 2nd round, where we went center guard and then defensive tackle. Zach McPherson in the 4th, Kenny Gainwell in the 5th, and if we could still find a way to land a Dylan Moses McGrone before this day's over, I might have to stop with the Howie Roseman draft room memes from last night. Kenny Gainwell, let's go! All right, so Philadelphia traded next up for draft news for the Eagles as we go through my full day reactions. We traded 2 picks this year, a 6 and a 7, to get a 5th from Washington next season. Good trade. You know, it makes sense to add some assets, and we're just waiting for pick 189 to come in for Philadelphia. Would love to see a linebacker here. Would love to see a corner, maybe a safety. I'm thinking Dylan Moses, Jacoby Stevens. But if we're going BPA, I mean, there still are some players that, you know, carried some, you know, high round grades. There's still 3rd, 2nd, 3rd round, 4th round grades. So let's see. The pick is coming in. What D tackle? Merlin Tuipulotu from USC. Good run defender. I mean, maybe a little bit weird with the Milton Williams selection, because Milton Williams is most likely going to be that D tackle 3. But let's see here. I know Dane Brugler, The Athletic, best mock draft, best draft tool, in my opinion, personally, had him as a 2nd, 3rd rounder. He was D tackle 3. And I mean, there was the perception that this was an historically weak defensive tackle class. I did like other D tackles on the board still, even considering, you know, I'm going to be honest with you. I was making tweets. I didn't even think he was still on the board. I was thinking like Jalen Twyman, Darius Stills from West Virginia, if we wanted to grab just another defensive lineman. I'm not going to lie, I kind of forgot he wasn't on the board. I mean, you're getting a guy that's more of a does the ugly stuff. You know, he's not going to light up the box score. But I do think in terms of power, I'm pretty sure he was like a wrestler too. I remember when I was kind of looking through it, which is always something you kind of want. You want that mean, nasty or whatever on your defensive line. But yeah, I mean, it's still not the linebacker. I mean, you know, Philly, hey, we pick up actually next. Right now I'm following along with the live draft, and still Dylan Moses is still on the board. Jacoby Stevens is still on the board. Rodarius Williams is still on the board. So in the idea that we've seen, especially with the Landon Dickerson selection and the Milton Williams selection, that Philadelphia, again, I mean, it is what it is. Whatever happens in 2021 for the Eagles, you know, if they're good or they're bad, it's kind of indifferent. We're generally prepared to not be super competitive. So going best player available for the Philadelphia Eagles, regardless really of positional need, I mean, you know, I'm not going to be super upset, super triggered by that strategy, because it does make sense so that we can continually try to see, if we, especially with all these picks, day 3 in a draft that is unlike any other draft for the amount of studying and film and tape and everything like that. I don't hate this pick. It's not the position that maybe we want it right there, but if you're going BPA, he absolutely was most likely best player available for Philadelphia, and really around the scouting community, getting someone like him in the 6th round is really, really good value. 191 for Philadelphia. Their second 6th round pick is coming up. I'll be back to react to that in just a bit. Pick 191 is in, and it's Teron Jackson, edge rusher from Coastal Carolina. Like the player, very productive. Last 2 years at Coastal Carolina, 13 TFLs, 10 sacks in 2019, 14 TFLs, 8.5 sacks in 2020. And while Coastal Carolina, offensively, Grayson McCall had an outstanding year. CJ Marable, he was the best player on the defensive side of the ball. Good athlete, I think, but one of those guys where it's like, as much as I genuinely it's one of those things that if he went to any other team in this 6th round, I probably would make a comment on Twitter being like, I like the player, man. But for Philadelphia, I'm happy that we got another guy that I kind of do like. But again, edge rusher, Dylan Moses is still there, man. Take a swing. Take a swing. Jacoby Stevens from LSU still there. Take a swing. The Eagles are now up on the clock. Whew. Nitty gritty, we traded out. Philly has picked 224 in the 6th round, and we pick 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th, I think, in the 7th round. So still plenty of talent on the board. Dylan Moses is there. We've talked about that probably now that because these are clips. And almost the beginning of every clip. But it is absolutely a lottery ticket getting someone like Dylan Moses because you're banking on, do we get pre-injury Dylan Moses? Looking at players that are still available, Jacoby Stevens definitely would be near the top of my list. Trill Williams makes some sense. I think you could argue, Trey Smith, even though he's guard and going offensive line. We've seen the Philadelphia Eagles so far in this draft kind of prioritize just strictly going BPA. And if you give a clean bill of health to Trey Smith, that's a very good offensive line. That's a guy I thought would go 3rd, 4th round, somewhere in that territory. So the pick is in, and come on, let's go. Give me something good. Give me something to get hype about. I think, Gainwell was a good pick. Marlon T from USC, good value at this point, but I know, corner, getting a linebacker, safety, something like that is also something that I think Philly should be considering. Come on, get the friggin' pick in, man. And it's Jacoby Stevens, LSU. There's another win, fellas. Another win. I will say, Dylan Moses, free fall. He might be UDFA at this point. But Jacoby Stevens, let's go. Safety hybrid. I think, the fact that he weighs pretty much the same as Darius Leonard, we're all trying to figure out who's going to be the Darius Leonard in this new Eagles defense. Is it going to be Eric Wilson, who they just signed away from the Minnesota Vikings? Stylistically, maybe. But I think someone like Jacoby Stevens is a kind of player that in the box is very good. I think that there's some special teams ability that you're going to get, but the fact that he's played free safety, inside linebacker, outside linebacker, dime back, that versatility can't be ignored. This is absolutely a guy, when you get to this spot in the NFL draft, late 6th round, 7th round, these are going to be guys that you obviously hope you can develop and make them into a starter and an impactful playmaker, but ultimately these are also guys that you need to kind of be like, are they going to make our final 53? And to make our final 53 at this spot, they're going to have to make some plays on special teams, and I definitely think you're getting that in Jacoby Stevens' last 2 years at LSU. In 2019, 92 tackles, 9 TFLs, 5 sacks, 9 PBUs, and 3 interceptions. And then in 2020, 63 tackles, 6 TFLs, 3 sacks, 4 PBUs. So I think he's the kind of guy that you'd like to see a little bit more consistency in this game, maybe better wrapping up when he's coming downhill. But, for this spot for the Philadelphia Eagles, this is a very good pick. This is probably my 3rd favorite pick of the draft. Devontae Smith, Kenneth Gainwell, and now Jacoby Stevens. We still have room to grab a defensive back again. Now we should be kind of siding on the corner side. Tay Gowan went a pick before the Eagles selected to the Arizona Cardinals. He could have been a nice candidate. Definitely annoyed that, a couple picks ago, Rodarius Williams, Greedy Williams' brother, who I thought was a perfect fit for Philadelphia, went to the Giants, oddly enough. But focusing on this pick, Jacoby Stevens, big thumbs up for me. And I would say at this point in the moment, probably my 3rd favorite pick of the draft for the Philadelphia Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles finish the draft, as far as I know. They could trade up. I'd probably not, given the fact that they were trying to unload picks. They drafted Patrick Johnson, edge rusher, linebacker out of Tulane. Very productive player. Guy who has 40 TFLs, almost 25 total sacks in his career. Really a 3-year starter at Tulane. 6 forced fumbles, 11 pass breakups. So from that standpoint, a lot of people did project him more as a 3-4 edge. I think if you're trying to figure out how it kind of makes sense for the Philadelphia Eagles defense, they had reports that Gennard Avery, who's been kind of a Quasimodo Is that a proper word, proper term? I don't know. But on the, like a, you know, a unicorn for not the same way that we describe Kyle Pitts as a unicorn, but like, where's their best position? And I kind of feel like if they moved Avery back to linebacker this year, Johnson kind of is in that same mold. So maybe this could be a role in a position on the defense. Maybe, you know, we're trying to make comparisons because no one really knows. It's a big mystery right now. What is this Eagles defense going to look like? And we look at the two big bodies of work from Jonathan Gainwell in the DC. It's like, all right, what did he do in Indianapolis? And then also, what did he kind of do in Minnesota? And I guess when you look at what he did in Minnesota, you know, you look at someone like Anthony Barr, where Anthony Barr is like he's a linebacker, but he's also just kind of like everything. You know what I'm saying? Like Anthony Barr could be a 3-4 outside linebacker, a 4-3 outside linebacker. And I think maybe Avery and now the selection of Patrick Johnson, who they are classifying as a linebacker, even though for a lot of this draft process, it was kind of assumed he's more of an edge. It's an interesting pick. It's not a bad pick. Productive player. At this point, you know, again, you're looking for guys that can stick on the 53 with special teams. The question just comes corners, but you're not going to absolutely roast the Philadelphia Eagles for not grabbing a corner here because it's the 7th round. You know, we need that corner that can play on the other side of Darius Slay, and it's going to have to come in free agency. I mean, there's Steven Nelson is out there. He was solid for the Pittsburgh Steelers last year. You know, there's other corner like Richard Sherman and stuff like that still available. They're not coming to Philadelphia. I don't know. I have no idea what Philadelphia is going to do at that corner spot. Probably the assumption is that they're going to suck this year, and maybe we can get Derek Stingley out of LSU. But ultimately, to finish out the draft, Patrick Johnson, not a bad pick. Not, you know, it's just a pick, per se. And now that we can kind of sit back here and view all of the team's picks, right? And I'll kind of give you an idea what we look at for Philadelphia, and then ultimately we will have, you know, if you're on my Twitter, I probably will be posting a lot about guys that I really want Philly to get as UDFAs. And in the past, I've wanted them to get Trey Burton. We also how that kind of worked out. So we got Devontae Smith in the first round. That's an A pick. It's not an A+, not an absolute home run. You get the 3rd wide receiver off the board. My 3rd wide receiver in my rankings. But for Philadelphia, I'm very excited, and I'm almost certainly going to be getting a Devontae Smith jersey. I think it's confirmed he's going to be wearing number 6. But I need a new Eagles jersey now that Wentz is kind of going in the garbage. And Devontae Smith, I'm giving that an A. Landon Dickerson in the 2nd round. I'm going to give that a C+ with upside. The reason why I'm going to do a C+ right now is that because when we had like the media scrum with Landon Dickerson, they're like, hey, when are you going to be good to go? He's like, I don't know yet. So we got a guy that has massive injury concerns. We don't know when he's going to be able to play. And I'm worried because like the thing that makes the Landon Dickerson pick this year anyways, because obviously, you know, if he can stay healthy and become the heir to Jason Kelce, that's very good. Even though 2nd round to find your new replacement center in a year or two's time is kind of rich. But I was kind of thinking like, well, shit, he can play guard as well. So is he going to be able to challenge and compete for that left guard spot with Seumalo? Because Seumalo's average. He's not a liability. Sometimes he is. Sometimes he's solid. And if Landon Dickerson can find a way to be the starting left guard for the team, this pick gets a little bit sweeter. This pick gets a little bit better because it's not so much a long-term return on investment. But knowing that he's, you know, we don't know when he's going to be healthy. If he's not ready for camp, there's probably no way he's going to start at left guard unless there's an injury a little bit later in the season because he's just not going to be able to have the opportunity to compete and get those reps so that Philadelphia can find their best offensive line combination for most of the offseason program so they can gain that chemistry. So I'm giving this C+ with upside. I don't want to be too down on the pick, even though JOK, the linebacker from Notre Dame, was still there. That would have been an absolute home run of a pick, I think, for the Philadelphia Eagles. It's a C+ with upside. The medical concerns, given Philadelphia's track record with, you know, especially last year. All you had to do is look at last year with Philadelphia. Everyone's talking about, oh, Philly had 9, 10 different O-line combinations. You never want that because of all the injuries. And then we get a guy that's had, what, 3 season-ending injuries? That's not exactly what you're looking for. But, if Landon Dickerson can stay healthy, if we're 3-4 years from back and I come back and find this video and Landon Dickerson has been able to stay healthy, it's a very good pick. But it's a C+ right now with a lot of upside. Hopefully he can stay healthy. 3rd round, we got Milton Williams from Louisiana Tech. He's going to be defensive tackle 3. Again, in terms of me being like a football draft snob hipster and thinking I know more than guys that are paid thousands and thousands of dollars to do this, given the board, I wasn't a huge fan of the pick, but in terms of like trying to tick off boxes of where Philadelphia wants to try to get better, this offseason. Defensive tackle 3 behind Fletcher Cox and Javon Hargrave was important. Milton Williams, a little bit of concern because of the lack of length, but S-tier athlete. I think I'm going to give that probably a B. Probably trending more towards a B- than a B+, but I'd give that like a low B grade for Milton Williams because it is a spot that we kind of need to address. 4th round, we got Zach McPherson out of Texas Tech. Again, don't know if he's going to be an outside corner. As it looks right now, I'd probably have to say we have to gamble with him on the outside because Craig James is not an outside corner. Michael Jacquet is not an outside corner. But I do like that fit. He's very good for our zone defense. I'm giving Zach McPherson. That's going to be B+, A-, somewhere in that range, given the need for corner, given how good of a scheme fit. I'll give it a B+, ultimately, just because we need an outside corner for sure. And, you know, if he comes out to just be a really good slot wide receiver, that's fine. But, you know, it's not the corner that we needed to try to strike in this draft, or at least hope to try to get in this draft. So B+ for McPherson. 5th round, we got Kenneth Gainwell out of Memphis. I'm giving that an A. That's probably my 2nd favorite pick of the draft. Absolutely needed that Nyheim Hines role because we have Sirianni coming from the Indianapolis Colts, and you saw just how impactful Nyheim Hines was with Jonathan Taylor in a 1-2 punch. We're going to have that now. We actually have 3 options because I don't want to dog Boston Scott, but Gainwell and Miles Sanders have the higher upsides of the 2. You're going to be able to do a whole lot of things with Gainwell. He can line up in the slot, give us a little bit more juice than Greg Ward. Just an incredibly versatile player for the offense. I'm very excited with that. We got Marlon Tuipulotu from USC. You know, Dane Brugler, the beast, the best draft tool I think out there. Had him as a 2nd, 3rd rounder. Getting that in the 6th round again, not necessarily a position of need, but Philadelphia clearly going BPA. I'm going to give that a B+. 6th round, we got Teron Jackson from Coastal Carolina. Fan of the player. I actually think there's probably at least a mock draft or 2 somewhere in the last year that I've had Teron Jackson going late to the Philadelphia Eagles. It's just, you know, how many more picks are we going to continue to invest on the defensive line here? Like, I would argue that's kind of a strength of this team. Not a lot of strengths on the Philadelphia Eagles, but I like the player. I don't want to dog the pick too much. I'm going to give it a C+. Strong C+ as well, not trending towards a C. It's a strong C+. 6th round, final 6th round pick, we got Jacoby Stevens from LSU. He was labeled as a linebacker, so that's the linebacker that we need. Probably linebacker. He probably will come in and compete with Davion Taylor for linebacker 3, and I think that is something that is kind of getting lost here with all the get Dylan Moses, get JOK, get all of these guys. We have no idea. Davion Taylor was a big investment in terms of draft capital last year for the Philadelphia Eagles, and we didn't see anything really last season, and you kind of took that as maybe he's not that good. Maybe it's just another, like, WTF Howie Roseman pick. Or maybe it's because Jim Schwartz does not like playing rookie players. That's why Kavon Wallace didn't play. And maybe behind the scenes, the Eagles are very high on Davion Taylor. He's kind of the biggest question mark, I think, on this defensive side of the ball. Because if Philly's coaching staff is way higher on the Davion Taylor than the fan base is, it kind of makes sense why they waited very long to address that linebacker spot. But ultimately, Jacoby Stevens, I'm giving that an A. I'll give that an A. Man, that was another one of the guys that I wanted to see Philadelphia get. And then we finish with the 7th round, getting Patrick Johnson, edge, outside linebacker, kind of in that Gennard Avery role. I'll give that a C+ as well. Good player, good production. A lot of people had him, maybe potentially going in as like a 5th rounder. Getting him in the 7th is some pretty solid value. So C+ for that. So overall, I mean, you can add up those grades. I'm feeling for Philly, it's a B+ draft. It's now that I can see the big picture. You look at it, the Dickerson over JOK is something that I struggle with. Not landing one of my favorite linebackers, Jabril Cox, and he went to Dallas, is also kind of annoying. And not getting that outside corner to play from Darius Slay is a little bit concerning. But ultimately, it's a great haul for the Philadelphia Eagles. Got a couple of my guys, Devontae Smith, Kenneth Gainwell, Jacoby Stevens, some good value. But what do you guys think about this Philadelphia Eagles draft, especially here on day 3? Let me know in the comment section below. Probably tomorrow, maybe even later tonight, I will have my draft grades for every team in the NFL. So that's going to be, you know, a little bit of a long video. But it will be coming out to you guys. Couple drafts, couple teams I thought did very well. Couple home runs. And you guys hopefully will like to see that. But let me know what you think about the Eagles draft in particular on this video. And I'll see you guys back here later tonight. Thanks for watching, and peace out.